I have the spinning beach ball of death, and it has nothing to do with the video. Like, literally, the spinning beach ball. I've just turned the camera on. The camera's 19 seconds in, and already life is not going well. Hello, my name is Shantel from Shantel is Probably Sorry. If you want to skip my intro comments, you can. I don't have many, though. In my video for 108, I showed y'all that I started drawing MK, which, by the way, my video for 108 has been blocked in most countries. Okay, whatever. Maybe I'll re-upload it one day. And so 106 and 108 has been blocked in most countries. But yeah, I finished drawing MK. In 107, I was talking about the people I'd seen on Lost Girl that were also on this show, and I forgot Aoife. I forgot that Angie is Aoife. So there's that. Grey's Anatomy, how in last episode Felix was like, maybe we can all curl up with Weight Watchers in Grey's Anatomy because of the relevancy of Grey's Anatomy to his character. That's where Twisted Sisters came from, because the main character of Grey's Anatomy and her best friend were the Twisted Sisters, and so both those things occurred in the same episode. Now, I said I would talk about the Deviations comics. I've read the 4th and 5th installment of the Deviation comics. Now, first of all, I really want to say that if you appreciate AU things, you should check out the Deviations comics, because the storytelling and how it does deviate from the show is pretty interesting to read. Like, for example, well, Beth is still alive, so like Beth found out about Sarah sleeping with Paul. Instead of Allison hitting Donnie in the face with the golf club, she saw Beth on the front lawn, and so instead she was like, Donnie, you gotta go. Bye, Donnie. And so that whole thing never happened, and because of the fact that Beth didn't die, MK is now connected with all the girls, meaning the bots from season 4 come into play very early in the comics. I said I would tell y'all about how Cosima and Delphine met, and funny story, they officially met at Leaky's lecture, and they went bike riding together. It was pretty cute, you know. Let's steal some bikes. They did. And it's actually very interesting how the Deviations comics are going in terms of everything. And I'll actually talk more about that next week because of the scene where Cosima and Delphine argue. She tells him a lot more names in the comics than she does in the show. And part of that may be how long she's actually known Cosima in the comics versus how long she knew her in the show. Like, the dinner didn't happen before their first kiss in the comics. And for some reason, Cosima's ex was in Minnesota, the one that we saw for like 10 seconds in season 4. But one thing that I will say about the Deviations comics, and you know, I actually have to reread it, because it's possible I am wrong, but I think that the Delphine in the comics may not be bi. I think she may be gay. And that doesn't make sense. I might be wrong, but just reading it, I was like, wait a minute. Excuse me, what? Is it okay for Delphine to have gone through her process of discovery of her sexual identity before meeting Cosima? Yes, of course. But that doesn't equate to, are you gay? Yes. And instead of I cry after sex with boys too, I cry after sex often. And it's like, it's questionable if that is the case. The I cry after sex often actually does apply to a further, an incident that occurs later on in the comics, but at the same time, what are you doing? Because that also does fit into the questionable representation. I mentioned that this is a show that, in my mind, has questionable representation. I mentioned that in the Winona Earp reactions, how I probably have some discussions about this show in terms of LGBTQ representation and possibly person of color representation, but there like is no person of color representation, so what would I discuss? You feel me? Not being shady. So throughout my rewatch, one of the conversations I will be having would be about questionable representation. And one of those things in the questionable representation that I'd be discussing, because there's a lot of aspects to this, because this show likes to walk lines. They walk lines with the stereotypes, they walk lines with the representation, they just walk lines in general. And it's very easy to cross those lines, but I think they do it on purpose, or at least some of the things they do on purpose, walking the line on purpose. Anyway, one of the parts of the conversation about the LGBTQ plus representation would be by erasure, because I saw some complaints about that and I can't ignore it. So that talk isn't for today, but when that talk does happen, I mean, it's possible I'm gonna have to include Deviations Delphine in there. Now this is Season 1, Episode 9, called Unconscious Selection. Stuff happened this episode. That's my biggest takeaway of this episode, is that Helena's wig is messed up, honestly. Because it is, babe. Kira and the clones have an interesting relationship. Or connection, I should say.
I think she's going to be fine. She was run right out for myself. And she's a very lucky girl.
Listen, the first time I saw this, I was like, what the? Fix the wig. Fix the wig, please.
Yeah.
Shit happens. I just watched an episode of Supernatural yesterday. That he's in. The captain.
You can stay one night. Just don't wake me on your way back in.
You like that? I'm a pariah. I can't go back there alone.
I need to change. Perhaps we something Gary.
So relieved. Yeah, even the doctors were stunned. I mean, you could have passed something down to her. Like what? I don't know.
Seema.
Kira's not visiting.
She looks so better.
It's not magic. I have a guy who's sequencing the German's DNA alongside mine to see if the illness she had was genetic. If you want, I can give him samples of you and Kira to compare.
The fact that them mentioning the Germans so often, like in this episode and next, made me think that one of them was going to be sick. Can you stop, please? Even if I end up editing the parts with Helena and Tomas out, I would just like to say that I think Tatiana did a phenomenal job acting Helena in those times. And also that seeing those scenes originally, I'm pretty sure it evoked a lot of empathy. When I originally watched this, it was the first season and I binged it. I probably watched the first season in like 2 days, maybe 3. So obviously I wasn't in love with any particular character at the time of originally watching it. I just watched it and I was like, wow, this character, wow. And actually, I think my affection for the characters grew in the year between me watching seasons 1 through 4 and then season 5 coming on live. Because I rewatched, I think the season I remember the least well might be season 3. No, it might actually be season 2. You know what, to be honest, I don't know. I know season 1 the best. Anyway, the point is, having all that time to think and watch and think raised my affection for certain characters. So, if that makes sense. The time did well for me in terms of how I respond to the characters and what I think of the show.
Scott, this is Delphine.
Look at her face. Look at her face. She's like, don't check out my girl. I really like Casima's theme in season 1, because it's different in season 2. I mean, like in season 2 too. Whew. Look at the dork. Oh my god. The dork. TM. I know this is unrelated, but we just saw Paul, so I should say that Paul in the comics, the Deviations comics, is a little bit of a dick. Just like a little bit. Or is a little bit of an asshole, I should say. Just a little bit.
You're gonna be okay. Don't you worry about it.
It's S. Of course she's going to be okay. She's always okay.
It's not just for the rich.
You hear me? S is fine, is what I'm trying to say.
An intervention? This is bullshit.
Hello, Felix, gay friend.
Acting coach.
Oh, that's perfectly fine.
Which one?
Yes.
Yes.
Talk with you today.
If you listen to the music, this is Allison's theme. And then we have Kira's theme.
Johnny, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
The scenes shift back and forth between Allison and Kira. So the music shifts back and forth between Allison and Kira. Kind of like the way that Helena and Kira's themes were mashed up together, I think last episode. It's the same way right here, except it's more of a distinct switch and not necessarily mash. My poor child deserves none of this, you hear me? Well, actually, that's a little bit debatable. Well, no, it's not debatable. She deserved none of this, alright? I stand by that.
Just give them a chance. You might be surprised. They care about us. They have to. Yeah, I was thinking of putting a gun to his head.
Allison and Cosima sound sick this episode.
Sorry for the precautions.
Like she was in different stages of a cold. And also, it turns out that argument between Cosima and Delphine happens this episode, which means that my outro comments is going to be what I was going to say about the Deviations comics. I thought it was going to be next episode. It's this one.
Prometheans. They call themselves.
Right, the illusionist is way better.
Years ago.
You know what? This is the first time I actually caught him using the word Prometheans. I thought we never even heard the word Prometheans until season 2. This is literally the first time I've caught it being used in season 1.
They haven't been directed, just observed. Except in your case.
And Elena's.
That should have been a clue. That Sarah and Helena were twins. Should have been. Oh, here's the argument. Alright, I was going to say for outro comments. I'm going to say it now. Deviations Comics Cosima is slick, right? Right about at this point, she shut the laptop and they did not argue. They had sex. So. But it's because Cosima was planning on monitoring Delphine. And so currently, Cosima was following Delphine. And Delphine doesn't know it. Wait, I can't be giving y'all all the information on the Deviations comics. Well, I'm not actually giving y'all everything, but there's a lot happening. I'm trying to tell you, there are a lot happening. Also, MK just like had her first interaction with Ferdinand in the comic books. And I promise you, if MK doesn't kill Ferdinand this time, I'm going to be a very unhappy person. I'll get over it, but I will be unhappy. God, because it would be just rude. It would be rude for them to kill her in the show and then kill her in the same way in the Deviations comics. Like, let the girl kill Guy, please. Look at her smiling.
You
Like,
knew this all along.
for why?
Yeah, that transcript you accidentally left behind. Your fake boyfriend and parents. I wanted to trust you. You can trust me. Totally. I know these girls. I had to. Look at me. He says you're in danger. Of what?
Give me a second.
You don't know, do you?
Mm.
And you're the real danger.
Oh, I looked into the light. Listen, in In the DVD, the caption said, I wanted to thrust you. You can thrust me, instead of trust. I'm telling you, the closed captions on those DVDs were the subtitles way off. I wanted to thrust you. You can thrust me.
Ainsley's anything she wanted, and you are going to live to fight it.
Start of a beautiful friendship. Look at them. Also, she does not eat that humble pie. Look at them.
What else did you tell him? Nothing! Just the 7 names.
8 names, babe.
Nothing about Kira. But don't go near that little girl. I didn't, and I won't. Get out! Please listen to me. Let me.
Get out the
tell you
remix.
this one thing. Just listen to me.
It's been 3 days.
I didn't want to fall for you.
Y'all had sex
I wasn't
once.
supposed to. But I have. How can I possibly believe that to you? It's not a lie. It's not possible.
I think she'd been
You
genuine.
know, I've never been with a woman before. It showed.
Rude. See, but there's no need for that. The acting. I just love me some Timas. But that's the thing about the timeline of this show. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, it seems a bit soon to be talking about falling in love and stuff. And then I'm like, it's been like 2 days. You have Kira's theme, and then it's gonna switch to Allison's theme, and now it's Allison's theme.
For scrutinizing every detail of my life the day I moved into this fishbowl.
Felix is like,
Cried and snooped and gossiped about me. If I told all these people that Chad, your husband, slept with the spin class instructor long before me, well, maybe he acts that way because you blew the roofer at the cabin! Okay, Allison, you see... No! No more words!
this is only funny because I've seen it so many times, right? It's not a funny scene. It's just funny because I've seen it so many times.
That went very well.
I love them. There's so much defeat here. She's like, you're the only person.
You are all I have now.
Hug. Hug. My sisters. Oh, she looks so uncomfortable. I love you too. Sorry. But, you know, I've already talked about my development of my feelings towards Helena in the first season.
It must be Sarah.
You know, Helena's in the trunk right now.
knows who I am, right?
Helena must not enjoy being in that trunk because of her in small, dark spaces. Shout out to Poopak. Yeah, you can hear in the back just...
Johnson? Yeah. About this time.
And you extra, you ain't have to do all that.
Blood is thicker than you think.
I remember the first time I saw Rachel, I was like, is that another one? And it was another one. I was like, no way they're about to give us another one. They did.
That's dead.
That must be brutal. Hey, someone's dead.
I'm like that.
Fam. I remember being shook. I was so excited.
What to expect, you know. They were scientists. The child they're cutting wasn't too mean for them. I realized the life inside of me was
So, S is putting it together.
I hid and get back to the two of you in secret.
Bombshell.
The two of us? Yeah.
This-
I had twins. I knew I couldn't keep you. seat and one to the church.
To the church.
Helena.
I always thought there was a lot more potential for what they could have done with Sarah and Helena's biological mother. But obviously we know what happens with Sarah and Helena's biological mother. I mean, when I say biological mother, I don't mean biological mother, obviously. I mean the surrogate who carried them. Because biologically, that's not their mom. But she is their birth mother. I always felt as though there was so much more potential, and I was a little disappointed to see her character killed off. That was Orphan Black 109, called Unconscious Selection. Intervention happened this episode. Start of a beautiful friendship between Felix and Allison. Kira's fine. Leaky's finding out about Sarah. He's eventually gonna find out about Kira. Well, Rachel finds out about Rachel's the one who brings Kira up. One thing I do like about Casima's character is that as soon as she knows she's wrong, she admits she's wrong. And like, that's a hard thing for people to do in general. But it's like, as soon as she's wrong, she's like, wow, I was wrong. And it's not as though, you know, she is rarely wrong. She can be often wrong, but she admits it. And I think that is a big quality for a person to have, to be able to admit when they're wrong, or admit when they need help, or apologize in a difficult situation. I didn't write down anything else to say. Again, I could say stuff about Helena because there was a lot of Helena and Sarah this episode. We did meet Rachel, technically, and again, I'll say it now and I'll say it one more time next episode, is that I'm looking forward to seeing how I interpret Rachel differently this time around than I did the first time around, or the second or third or fourth, because I've watched season 5. And so I want to see how my opinion differs. I will definitely try to film Orphan Black 110 in the very near future. I know it's been like 2 weeks since I posted 108. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to film this within the next like 2 days so that I can get it up and posted. And then I will take a bit of a break from watching it. And then I'm thinking, you know, I will discuss it again. But what I'm thinking is, I'm thinking that I'll do what I planned on doing with season 1, which is to watch them all and record them all and then edit them all before I even start posting any of them, to make sure they're all recorded and all ready to just go. And, you know, I could even post them and have them up on a schedule. The only downfall to that would be is I like being able to see the comments before I record the next one so that it can be incorporated into my intro comments, and I wouldn't be able to do that with season 2. I don't know. I'll think about it. Probably won't be that big of a deal. I can probably just be able to like just record everything and post it so that there is no waiting 2 or 3 weeks before I get out another one. They can all just come in a timely manner. I'll repeat this next video. But yeah, I think that's it. So like the video if you liked it. You can check out my description as well as my playlist to see what shows I'm doing, and subscribe if any of those things interest you. I am doing a rewatch for, you know, season 2, season 3, and season 4. Season 5 is already up on my channel, so there's no reason to rewatch that. But I might do a little more discussion on season 5. Who knows? Thank you for watching if I didn't already say it. Hope you're having a great existence. I guess that brings me to adios. I thought that we never even heard the word police. I would like for this plug to stay in. I can't do anything if the plug doesn't stay in. Plug's not staying in. Ooh. I got Lin 28A in my system. A can't with me, I'm bitchin'. A this house is bitchin'. Lin 28A in my system.
2, 3.
Dre, you gotta go. Dre, you gotta leave. Dre, don't text me right now. Helena's wig is messed up. That's my biggest takeaway from the episode, is that Helena's wig is messed up. Darn. I'll repeat. Sorry. Binge watched it. I had no time to adjust my thinking on anything. No time to adjust my, okay.
Oh my God.
Allison.
What's going on? What is this?
We're gathered in the spirit of love.
The scenes shift back and forth. The scenes shift back and forth between Allison's theme, but it's because Kasima was planning on monitoring, but
it wasn't Helena's fault.
It wasn't, baby.